I mean, better late than never. So The Mandalorian Season 1 focuses on the travels of a lone bounty hunter in the outer reaches of the galaxy, far from the authorities of the New Republic. Now, The Mandalorian is finally here in the UK, and that is why this review is quite late in comparison to most people, is because The Mandalorian literally had its season finale here in the UK, Episode 8, today. So I've literally just watched it before recording this review, and now we have the entire season, and it's absolutely wonderful to finally have it. I mean, we didn't get Disney Plus here until March, so that is why there has been such a delay for me getting this review to you guys. And yes, I could have watched this when it was coming out in the US, but frankly, given how high quality the show was, and given how I knew that, I didn't want to squander it by watching it online with really poor quality and things like that. I wanted to watch it on Disney Plus in 4K the way it should have been watched, and I'm so glad that I did. Starting off with the positives for The Mandalorian, for me, I absolutely loved the tone and the vibe of this series. It's basically a Star Wars Western. That's kind of how it plays itself, and that's kind of how it feels. It has this very Western tone, the way the characters act is very Western, and I like the way that the show kind of tones itself. It's very tonally thematic to a Western. It's just the way the music swells, the way the action comes, the way the dialogue is. It just feels like a Western. Like, if you've ever seen a Western film, this is the closest thing that Star Wars will ever get to it. It just feels like that world and that universe, and it just makes it feel very unique and very standalone from the rest of the Star Wars universe, because it just feels so unique. I was also a huge fan of the cast of characters that they assembled for this series. First of all, Pedro Pascal, who of course plays the Mandalorian himself, was fantastic. I was really impressed with him because what Pedro is able to do in this series is he has to do a lot of acting without his face. You don't see the Mandalorian's face throughout the entire series because he wears a helmet the entire time, so you have to have this kind of level of acting where you can express your emotions without showing your face, and I think Pedro Pascal does that really well, particularly because of course he is looking after the child, and you can really buy that affection from him without even seeing his face throughout the entire series. It's really impressive work from him. And speaking of the child, of course we do have Baby Yoda in this series, and I mean, obviously I had seen all the memes, I had seen all the internet jokes about Baby Yoda in the run-up to this finally releasing in the UK, but nothing could have prepared me for how just adorable this character is. You just sit there and you just look at this thing and you're just like, you just want one. You want one for yourself. You want a little Baby Yoda, and it's just, the child is just so adorable. He's so cute. His little mannerisms, his little noises that he makes, he's just, because he doesn't have any dialogue, but he just sits there and he just does the cutest little things, and you just love him so much. Like, he's like a little dog. You just want him. And yeah, he's such a great little addition to the Star Wars universe. You know, I just love his character. He's fantastic. I'm definitely gonna get his Funko Pop, and I want a little cuddly version of him as well, because it's just the most adorable thing I've seen in Star Wars. You know, there has been some cute things in Star Wars before. I love Porgs, I love Ewoks, but they've got nothing on the child. I mean, he's just amazing, and there's a particular element to his character as well that really adds to him and makes him so much more interesting than just being this cute little thing, which, to be honest, would have been enough for me. Like, if he was just that would have been enough, but when they introduce this other thing to him as well, it just makes him awesome. So, for me, the child, he was just so much what I wanted, and so much more. But I gotta say, probably my favourite character in this series was Gina Carano as Cara Dune. I thought she was awesome. Absolutely badass. I mean, I'm a big fan of Gina Carano coming out of Fast and Furious 6. I mean, that's really the only thing I know her from, but I love her in Fast and Furious 6. Obviously, I'm a big Fast and Furious fan. But seeing her in this, I love her character. She plays this rebel shock trooper, or well, ex-rebel shock trooper, and she's just badass. I wanted her to be in more of this. She's only in a few episodes, but she's really cool. She just comes across as really capable. She's a fun character. She has a great banter with Mando. I just really enjoy her character overall. I think she's a lot of fun. And again, hopefully she comes back in Season 2, because she just has so much character that I think we could delve into with her, as I do feel she was a little underserved here, just because, again, she wasn't the primary focus, but really cool character. Again, I loved her so much, and I can't wait to see what they do with her more. Also, the direction of The Mandalorian is incredibly impressive. What I was really excited about going into this series was we have so many different directors coming in, both from the Star Wars universe and also not from the Star Wars universe, to kind of just bring together these really talented directors to make this series feel as high quality and cinematic as it is. Of course, Jon Favreau, who's kind of the big creative spearhead behind this entire series, he directs a few of the episodes and does a great job. Dave Filoni, who is of course the fantastic brain behind all the animated stuff with Star Wars, with Clone Wars and Rebels, he He comes in and adds his touch of finesse to it all, which was a really nice touch. Also, Rick Famuyiwa, who directed things like Dope and was originally meant to direct The Flash a few years ago, he's here to direct an episode. Even Taika Waititi gets to direct the season finale, and I gotta say, Taika's episode was probably my favourite out of all of them, and you could definitely feel Taika's touch. There's a scene in particular between these two stormtroopers, and it's just hilarious. It's so Taika. And that scene does feel a bit separate from the rest of the series, just because, again, they haven't really done anything like that before, but it just fitted so well for the episode. I don't know why, it just worked really well for me, and it just was Taika through and through. So for me, having these different directors were just fantastic, and I think it really opens up a lot of opportunities, especially people like Deborah Chow, who I think could really just go forward in the Star Wars universe from here. And with that, the action in this series is absolutely phenomenal, because again, it's very different Star Wars action than what we've seen before. It's a lot more boots on the ground, it's a lot more gritty, it's gunfights, it's, you know, brawling and things like that. It's not lightsaber fights that you get in the movies and things like that. It's a lot more grounded and realistic, well, realistic for Star Wars, and it works really well. And again, it makes it fresh and exciting, because it's not something we've seen in Star Wars before, because obviously we've seen lightsaber fights before. It's, you know, exciting as they are, and as much as I adore lightsaber fights, this just is something a little bit different, and again, it makes this series feel different and have its own identity in comparison to the rest of the Star Wars series. And the score was one of the most surprising things for me. I mean, the score, this isn't John Williams, this is Ludwig Göransson, who, you know, he did things like Black Panther, which was a great score, and from what I've heard from Tenet, he is incredible. Doing this for The Mandalorian, this score is beautiful. Again, it really enhances that Western feeling, and honestly, I think I'm going to go on the record and say this is one of my favourite Star Wars scores. It's just brilliant. I was so enthralled by it all, especially, again, in the season finale. There's this action sequence towards the middle of the episode, and the music that's in that scene, I've not heard anything like it in Star Wars. It was brilliant. I was so excited by the music, and genuinely, I've downloaded so many of the songs on my Spotify playlist from The Mandalorian because it's brilliant, and I can't wait to see Ludwig Göransson return and do more for Season 2. And hopefully, obviously with John Williams getting older and looking to retire, he did say The Rise of Skywalker was his last film for Star Wars. I would love to see Ludwig Göransson take up the next Star Wars film, because he truly proved himself here, and again, he really helped identify The Mandalorian as a Western-style story. And arguably the most impressive thing about The Mandalorian is probably the VFX and the budget. It's just insanely high budget, and when you're watching this show, if you put this side by side with The Rise of Skywalker, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. You wouldn't be able to say which one was a movie and which one was TV. They look identical, and it's insane that Disney has managed to get this budget for this TV series and make it as high quality as it is. The VFX, the locations, the sets, just everything. It's so clean, it's so high budget, and you can just feel the money just dripping off of it. And again, you can really tell that this was a passion project from the filmmakers, because you can just tell they wanted to put all the money and all the time and all the effort into it to make it as grand as it could possibly be. And that is what The Mandalorian is. It's grand. It feels like that in scale. Even though it's not got the scale of something like the movies in regards to the storytelling, in regards to the actual aim of the series, and in regards to the look of it, it is sky high. It's brilliant, and I was so impressed with it all. Like, seriously, whether you're looking at the creature designs or you're looking at the spaceship fights, whatever it might be, it's just all like the movies. It fits so well into the universe, and you cannot tell the difference. And what I really liked about The Mandalorian, which I've seen a lot of people complain about, is that I really enjoyed the tight storytelling of this, in the sense that each episode is around 30 to 35 minutes. And I actually really like that, and I know a lot of people don't. I know a lot of people said that the Mandalorian episodes were too short, and I kind of get that, you know, it's not what we typically expect from a show like this, but I actually really like the sort of short form storytelling that Disney Plus seems to be doing, because I'm also watching the High School Musical series at the moment as well, and that also has around 25 to 30 minute episodes, and I'm actually really enjoying that. It keeps them brief, it keeps them exciting, it keeps you wanting more. And I feel like with a show like this, they could easily overdo it and really overstuff it, and by the end of it, you can feel like it went on too long, or it just dragged on. What I really like about The Mandalorian is, after each episode, it left me wanting more. It made me excited for the next episode, like genuinely really excited. And by the end of this season, we already know it's been renewed for Season 2, and I'm pretty sure it's already been renewed for Season 3 as well. It gets me excited for Season 2. Like, I'm really hyped for all this. So I think that the fact that The Mandalorian does these short-form stories, I just think it works really well for the series and works for audiences' attention. Honestly, this review has just been absolutely glowing. It's just been me beaming about how great this show is, but honestly, I could not be happier with The Mandalorian. I just think it's fantastic. And I genuinely do believe this is the best thing Disney has done with Star Wars ever since they've had it. And that's not even a slint towards Star Wars and Disney, because I love the sequel trilogy. I love all three of them. I think they're all great. Well, The Rise of Skywalker isn't great, but I do really enjoy it. So for me, it's not even like a bad thing. I've really enjoyed everything Disney has done with Star Wars so far, but this is by far the best. You could just see the talent behind it. You can see the passion. You can see the absolute sky-high budget that went into it. You can see the creative vision behind it, and I just can't wait to see what they do with Season 2, because they've got such a rich world that they haven't really explored before in Star Wars. We've never really seen this darker, grittier bounty hunter world in Star Wars. They almost went into it with Star Wars 1313, the video game, which Disney unfortunately cancelled, but this is the closest we've had to that. You know, I like the fact that this show takes place in the outer rims of the galaxy. Even though this show takes place after Episode 6, after the fall of the Empire, this area of the world that we explore in this is far away from that. So like there's kind of like these remnants of the Empire still out there, and it's really an interesting world to explore. And I think that is what makes The Mandalorian so special and so unique and so perfect for Star Wars. It just feels unlike anything else we've seen before. So for me personally, The Mandalorian is by far the best thing Disney's done with Star Wars ever since they've had the rights to it, and I am just so impressed and so excited with The Mandalorian. You know, coming out of the season finale, I am just hyped, and I cannot wait for Season 2. Luckily, given the fact that we had to wait for Season 1, Season 2 isn't that far away, so I guess that's a positive for all that. But either way, I adored The Mandalorian, and I don't even care. I'm going to go for it. Mandalorian gets a 10 out of 10. So have you guys seen The Mandalorian Season 1? I assume most of you have, but if you have, make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Did you enjoy it, or were you not really a fan of it? I doubt it's the latter, but if it was, I'd be interested to hear from you. And as always guys, if you want to see more TV reviews and TV related videos just like this one, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any uploads from me, and hope to see you guys again next time.